Have you ever been there? Standing in a wine aisle, you pick up a bottle from Europe, and you just feel completely lost. All those acronyms feel like some kind of secret code. Well, guess what? Today, we're going to crack that code.
Right? You see them on the labels all the time. AOC from France, DOCG from Italy, DO from Spain. They look super complicated, but they're actually telling you a story about the wine's quality, its history, and the very ground it came from. So, what are they really trying to say?
Before we could even start to decode all those letters, we've got to understand why this whole system was created in the first place. And trust me, this isn't just a bunch of boring bureaucracy. It was a system born from absolute chaos. So, picture this, the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The European wine world was a total mess. A nasty little pest called phylloxera had wiped out vineyards, and fraud was everywhere. I mean, wine was being faked, watered down, and straight up mislabeled. So these laws were created for two really simple reasons. One, to fight the fakes and guarantee you are actually getting what you paid for, and two, to protect a wine's unique identity, a promise that the wine in that bottle truly comes from one specific special place.
Now, at the philosophical heart of all these laws is this really crucial French concept, terroir. It literally translates to a sense of place. It's this beautiful idea that a wine is the unique expression of its environment and the generations of people who've made wine there. It's what makes a wine from one little hillside taste completely different from another one just a mile down the road. So what exactly is this terroir thing? Well, we can break it down into four key elements. You've got the soil itself, its minerals, its texture. Then there's the climate, the sun, the rain, all that good stuff. Then the topography. Is the vineyard on a steep, sunny slope or tucked away in a cool valley? And finally, and this one's so important, the human element, the traditions and the know-how passed down through generations. All four of those things combine to create a wine's unique fingerprint.
Okay, so with terroir as our foundation, let's look at how these laws are actually structured. It turns out, nearly every major wine country in Europe uses the same fundamental model, with just a few different names. And the best way to think about it is as a quality pyramid. Down at the very bottom, the base of the pyramid, you have your regional wines. Think of these as covering a really big area, like an entire region of a country. The rules here are the most relaxed, focusing mainly on just guaranteeing that the wine comes from that general place. In Italy, this is IGT. In Spain, it's Vinos de la Tierra. All right, now we're moving up the pyramid, and things are getting stricter. We're in the controlled origin tier now. Here, the geographic areas get way smaller and much more specific. We're talking maybe a single valley or a handful of villages. The rules start dictating which grapes you can use, how much wine you can produce, all to make sure the wine is a classic example of its specific location. This is where you find your French AOC or your Spanish DO.
And that brings us to the very peak of the pyramid. This is the top tier, my friends, reserved for the most historically important and highest quality wines. The rules here are the absolute strictest. You're talking lower yields, longer aging, and crucially, these wines often have to pass an extra layer of quality control, like a final taste test by an official panel, just to guarantee they're the real deal.
To see how this all works in the real world, we have to start with the country that basically wrote the blueprint for everyone else, France. Their Appellation d'Origine Contrôlée, or AOC system, is the OG model.
All that chaos from the late 19th century really forced producers to get their act together. After a few early tries at making rules, France finally made it official in the 1930s with the AOC system. It was designed to protect the reputation of their very best wines by legally defining everything from the exact boundaries of the land to the specific grapes they were allowed to use.
And this system can get incredibly specific. I mean, just look at a famous region like Burgundy. The pyramid there has extra rungs on its ladder. You might start with a wine from a specific village, like Gevrey-Chambertin, but then, within that village, the superior vineyards are classified as premier cru, and at the absolute pinnacle, the best of the best vineyard sites are designated Grand Cru. They're so special, they are an appellation all by themselves.
So how did this French blueprint play out across the rest of Europe? Well, once France established the model, other major players, Italy, Spain, and Portugal, all adapted that same pyramid structure to fit their own traditions. They just used different names for everything.
And here it is, the cheat sheet. This right here is the key to cracking that code. You can see how that pyramid structure maps directly across the countries. Italy's regional tier is IGT, their controlled tier is DOC, and their top tier with that extra G for garantita or guaranteed is DOCG. In Spain, it goes from Vinos de la Tierra up to DO and then to the really elite DOCA. Portugal, yep, follows a similar path with Vinho Regional and the super important DOC.
And listen, this isn't just academic stuff. As this sommelier points out, this knowledge is incredibly practical. It's exactly how the experts navigate the huge world of European wine. Understanding these little letters on the label unlocks the entire story behind the bottle, its identity, its quality, and its unique character. Okay, so how do you use all this? Let's take everything we've learned and head back to that wine shop so you can decode your next bottle like a pro.
The big takeaway here is this: that confusing label isn't a puzzle designed to trick you. Not anymore. It's a roadmap. It's telling you a story of a specific place, a set of traditions, and a promise of quality that you can now totally understand and trust.
So here's your simple 3-point checklist for next time. First, find the acronym. Is it an IGT or a DOCG? That tells you the level of rules it had to follow. Second, note the region. Knowing that Chianti Classico or Rioja are famous for certain styles gives you a huge clue about what's inside. And third, trust the system. The higher you go up that pyramid, the greater the promise that the wine is going to be a classic, delicious expression of its home.
But this story isn't over, not by a long shot. These laws were built on a century of a relatively stable climate. But now, as our world warms up, these historic regions are facing brand new challenges. Grapes are ripening differently, traditional styles are becoming harder to make, and that leaves us with a final, really fascinating question. Will these historic laws designed to preserve tradition have to bend to accommodate a changing planet, or will they just break? Something to think about over your next glass of wine. Thanks for joining me.